Hello, welcome to Sheepdog Says. I'm Sheepdog, and today we're doing a bit of a different video. We're doing a reaction video to the Avengers Infinity War. I've got Mrs. Sheepdog behind the camera. Say hello, Mrs. Sheepdog.
Hello.
Yeah, so she's very kindly agreed to come on the video with me, although not physically. I was tempted to put like a stick figure on the screen that talked at the same time she spoke, but I won't do that. It seems far too complicated. Maybe in future she'll get her own little avatar that will talk while she talks, but until that day, until I get that kind of resource, this is what we're going to do. So yeah, I'm going to ask questions because I think that's easier than just expecting you to start ad-libbing off the bat. What did you think of it? I guess is question number one. What was your overall? You come out of the cinema, nobody spoke. Just to give the viewer a quick overview of that, we left the cinema and nobody said a word really. I mentioned something major had happened during the film, which I'll get to in a minute. I do need to warn anyone watching this who hasn't paid attention to the signs I put around the edge. This is spoilers, so stop now if you don't want to be spoiled. Stop right now. I'm going to drop a spoiler right now just to make sure that if you really aren't taking me seriously, you need to take me seriously. Loki dies right at the start. So we left the cinema and I was talking to Mrs. Sheepdog about Loki's death and then realised it was a bit of a Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back moment where walking out of the cinema going, I can't believe they killed Loki at the start, probably wasn't the best thing to say, because anyone queuing or waiting around may have killed me. And that was my big worry. So everyone else had the thought in advance to not talk on the way out. I feel like I didn't until I realised what I'd done.
Very good, I thought.
Yeah.
Because we both said, didn't we?
Let's not
Let's
talk.
not talk, but in case someone around us gets really angry that we've spoiled it for them.
Yeah, and I think we did all right. We got to the car. But back to my question, I guess. What did you think of the film overall?
Well, when you said about everyone was really quiet, I think everyone was trying to figure out whether that was just it.
Yeah, no more
Like,
films.
okay, everyone's dead.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
On the way...
It just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. It was very bizarre.
It ended.
Watching a film that just ended like that. On the way in, you said to me, I'm excited, I'm looking forward to it. And I said, if it goes the way I expect it to go, I've never seen a film do this. And that's what's exciting to me. I've never seen a film where the heroes get everything together, they think they're all right, and then they lose. And that's exactly what happened. So...
But then, through the whole of the film, they never had it. They lost, and then they lost again, and then they lost again. They never really had a moment where they were like, okay, yeah, we can do this, we're winning. They never had it through the whole of the film, did they?
There was a few bits. I mean, there was the moment where they thought they were going to get the gauntlet off his hand, which we kind of figured was going to fail. There was a moment where...
I kind of knew they were going to fail at that point.
Yeah. There's a moment where the Vision's gem exploded, and you thought, oh, they've done it, he's not going to be full power. I mean... I kind of thought he was just going to grab it out of the air or gather it back together. I'd forgotten about the time reversing. There's a few points in that where I kind of felt like they'd forgotten how powerful an Infinity Gauntlet could be. I mean, I know that in theory he could have just gone bang and wiped out anyone who came near him, and there were lots of times he didn't kill Avengers because that wouldn't have worked as a film. But
yeah. There
were times when I thought, why doesn't he reverse time, or why doesn't he, you know, control reality and make everyone turn into stone or whatever. He did sort of shred people up. There was a...
The story out, didn't they?
Yeah. There was a point during the film where I thought literally everyone was going to die when they started laying waste to the Guardians of the Galaxy. What about yourself? Did you think they were going to...
No.
What about when Thingy just split into loads of pieces?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I fell for that.
No, I didn't.
Straight away I thought, oh my god, they've wiped out most of the Guardians.
No.
Because they'd split them apart as well early on, I thought, crikey, they've split them apart because they don't want to kill Groot and Rocket, but they want to kill Gamora and I forget the bug lady's name.
Woman.
Yeah, and no, I wasn't surprised people died, but I was definitely surprised who died.
I'm surprised at the amount of people that died.
Well, the end kind of made sense. 50% of all people being killed.
Yeah, but I think, well, my biggest was like Loki dying right at the beginning because he's probably one of my favourite characters and probably and a really popular character. For them to just get rid of him.
Felt like they were making a statement to me. It felt like they were saying, you don't think we're going to kill him off? Well, we have, so there you go. Predictions for what they'll do to try and fix the amount of death? Do you? So I guess a better way of wording that is,
bring people back.
we both agree that the people who disintegrated are not permanent, yeah?
Yeah.
So what about people who were killed at the start or throughout the film?
Loki,
Heimdall, Gamora. I'm trying to think if anyone else died in battle.
No.
Hawkeye's hopes of appearing in the film. I mean, do you then get reversed? I'm sure he'll be in a future film.
Yes. In a maybe someone else's film.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't appear in this one though.
They'll have to explain that.
Because he's appeared in all of them. So why did they not include him in like the most important?
Yeah.
Coming to an end.
My guess,
Avengers film.
my prediction will be that we'll get the Captain Marvel film next. I mean, the after credits scene said, well, hinted that Captain Marvel was next. Nick Fury sent a quick text that kind of called her to action. My prediction is that her film will be Nick Fury and Hawkeye going off to find her, or work with her, or help keep her hidden, or whatever they're planning on doing with her. I think he'll be involved in her story and her origin, and then when we get to the modern part of her story, he'll be with her. If he's not, it doesn't make any sense. If he's just retired to a farmhouse somewhere, and that's the long and short of it, then that doesn't make any sense. We didn't really answer the death question. Going back to that, well, do we think the people who died, like Loki, whether they're dead permanently?
Yeah, I think Loki is dead.
See, I think you're probably right, and I think that sucks, but I think he's got a chance of not being dead because he bluffs a lot, but I feel like he's bluffed too many times for it to be real.
He's already died before and come back, doesn't the actor want to do other stuff as well, though?
But he's also said he wants to play Loki forever. If Loki is played by anyone, it has to be him, is what he's always said.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really get that. Heimdall.
But then Thor did say, because he goes, oh, he has died before, but this time I think it's for real.
Yeah, it felt like it
Maybe,
was, but I feel like it'd be a cop out, but people probably wouldn't mind. Heimdall, I'm not sure on. I assumed he was going to die. My prediction video from the other day said he was going to die. I feel like equally Idris Elba's done a lot of interviews where he said he wants to be in more films, so it feels like they're going to reverse that. I don't think Gamora will be dead permanently, is my prediction. I feel like when he said a soul for a soul, he wasn't saying swap like for like. I think he was saying that to get the soul gem, you need to provide a soul for it. And Thanos has provided Gamora's soul as the kind of gift for that gem.
So she'll exist in another form.
Yeah. Now, there's two reasons I think it. In the film, when he got the gem and clicked his fingers and he was in that kind of space and he was talking to her as a child, that to me felt like it might be something to do with the gems. And like seeing her in there. I also think in the comics, and this is a slight spoilery, I guess, in the comics there is a hero in the gem that gets involved, but he hasn't been introduced in any of this, so I don't think he's going to be introduced, so I'm wondering whether that might be another way. It seems awful to write out that whole love story between her and Star-Lord just so flippantly and brazenly. We had a slight break there. You might be able to hear a baby crying in the background. We're going to try and let him cry through it. So one thing in the film that confused me a lot was that we had the Hulk at the start, and then Banner couldn't Hulk up for the rest of the film. The Hulk refused to come out. He got I can't think of the right word. He just sort of ran out of bravery and just became shy.
Refused, didn't he?
Yeah,
He said no.
performance anxiety. Do you think that is just their way of maybe cutting down on special effects? Do you think it was just a comedy routine? Because they could have just had the Hulk running through, swinging his arms around, and it wouldn't have hurt the film. I don't think it was to balance the teams because we'd already seen Thanos just threw him to one side. So what do you think that was all about?
I think it was about developing the relationship between Hulk and Banner.
Yeah, so just making his character develop.
Yeah, because the fact that because they had this, even though Hulk, all he said was no.
They're arguing, I suppose, between them. Yeah,
it was funny, and they're having this little argument, and how quickly they can go. He can go between the two. They've never had that before in any of the films.
it is interesting how he's evolved since the very first films. He's evolved to now. I mean, he's evolved to the point where he wants to be Hulk sometimes, where he recognises it's a heroic ability. But yeah, I like the fact they're arguing with one another, and yeah. I guess Hulk's...
Actually, it was quite nice having the actor in it a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, as well. It made a lot more sense that we got to see him act and be an Avenger rather than the brute weapon. I kind of wanted to see Hulk in the Hulk Smasher, though. Maybe they're saving that for the next film. I just thought it might look quite cool as an armour. I suppose he'd burst out of it, but I was desperate for him to turn green and have a Hulk arm out of where the arm had come off and have the robotic arm and no helmet and just be Hulk plus armour. Because I thought that might balance him and Thanos against each other. Maybe that's what they'll do again. Conscious of the fact that A, we've answered a lot of questions, and B, the baby's crying, I'll wrap it up with, what do you think is going to happen in the next film? Just guesses. I mean... Thanos has wiped out 50% of all life in the universe.
Well, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, they're all going to come together and find a way to either just get rid of Thanos or reverse.
I guess the gem's got to have the ability to reverse it. It's got to, hasn't it?
Well, he's got the time thing, hasn't he? It's a time stone.
I forgot about the fact they could literally... I don't think they're going to literally reverse time, surely. That seems too easy to just roll it back.
Maybe they can reverse an aspect of... Because they've also got...
We showed that, I suppose, didn't we? With the Vision.
And it's like when they went... what's his name? Doctor Strange... He knew... Because he said, I've seen however many...
14 million variations.
Variations of this. He knew at that point this is the way it had to happen. Didn't he?
I guess that's true. So
he's given us,
he gave the stone up, didn't he? I assumed wrongly.
So Iron Man is really important to whatever happens next because he gave up a stone for him to survive. So he knew at that moment that he needs to be there at the end, regardless of.
See, that on its own is... I'm glad you've come on this video because I hadn't put that together because I'm not very clever. But obviously... You've cracked it there, Mr. Sheepdog, that obviously Doctor Strange knew the one way they could defeat him out of the 14.5 million opportunities, and that was one. I was sat there thinking, it didn't have to go that way. The Vision was right. I felt like there were some awkward decisions they'd made, sacrificing the 50% of the universe for the Vision, 50% of the universe for Iron Man, but... I get that your logic is perfect. That's crossed that one off. I was going to actually ask you as well, just what bits you felt a little bit were off. It was a very good film, but what bits you think were off? My one, I didn't think Peter Dinklage was very good. You disagreed, sort of. You said he was okay.
I thought it was alright.
And Twitter seems to think it was one of the best parts of the film. I know it was a small role, but or a giant role, but I just felt like his acting was very off compared to the rest of his peers. I felt like everybody else was acting really well, whereas he was a bit wooden when he said, "But you will die." And it was like, yeah, you could have delivered that a few more times and perhaps recorded a better version of that. My other one was the fact that whilst nobody wanted the Vision to die, he pointed out time and time again that 50% of the universe would die if he didn't die. And
my thing was the problem with having so many characters in one film is that you lose some of the personality of some of the characters.
I'd thought it was odd that they acted like
not everyone can have their moment on screen. Like, what's her name?
Black Widow?
Yeah.
She had some moments, but I get it. She wasn't...
She didn't say anything really, did she?
No, you're right. No, not much character building for her.
She did a lot of fighting. Like, and that's, you lose that, and obviously I really like her character, and you lose. But how can they've got to balance it, and they can't have a 4-hour thing.
I know the Vision was literally one of the gems, but I felt like it was odd how they just kind of went, oh yeah, the Vision and Scarlet Witch are major characters and they're going to get lots of airtime. And I kind of thought, there's a point that ran through my head thinking, they should have probably included them more throughout the other films, just because they were quite important to this. I did feel like the Vision could have done with his own film, perhaps. I don't know how well it would have done, but maybe he could have had his own film, or they could have developed him more like they did Hulk. I do feel like next film, like you say, the big guns are going to have to band together. They are obviously going to recruit Captain Marvel and some other heroes. I'm absolutely shocked that Black Panther and Spider-Man are both, like, they've evaporated. Because how do they do Spider-Man 2? My one theory, my one guess that I'm hoping that I'm right, because I think this will be very clever, is if they were to make it that Spider-Man 2 starts and it's Peter Parker watching Captain America disintegrate and watching all the other people disintegrate, and they're actually in a mirror universe where Black Panther, Spider-Man and so forth are dealing with the fact that 50% of people disintegrated. Nick Fury's there, so on and so forth. Whereas in this universe, which is, let's say it's the main one, where Thanos has lived, I don't really know how it would work. It would give them a chance to just carry on doing films and then merge them back together. But it'd also be interesting if Thanos was in both and they both fought Thanos and the next film was kind of split in two ways. That'd be quite clever, a little bit complicated, but if they could do that and Thanos was there in both and they had to bring them back together and defeat him, there could be some really cool scenes where you could have just each half of the Avengers fighting Thanos in theirs to reverse the damage. Anyway, we are going to wrap up there because this has been quite a long video. Thanks very much for watching. Thank you, Mrs. Sheepdog, for being on your first video, number 51. It's taken this long for me to convince you. Thank you for explaining bits of the film that I obviously missed, I didn't get. I really appreciate that. Give us a like, a comment and a subscribe as always. Try to get to that 1,000 followers mark. I'm miles off. I suddenly realised I was supposed to be trying to do it in 100 days and I'm halfway through and I'm not even a quarter of the way there. So let's aim for a quarter of the way there by 100 days perhaps. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up from here. We need to go sort out this crying baby. Sorry if he's been in the background. I'm not really sure how much it picks him up. He's okay. We're trying to get him to stop like relying on us. Too much detail anyway. I'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon.